Welcome to Through the Rough, a place where real-life people share the real-life experiences that have shaped us into who we are today.
Welcome back to Through the Rough. This is episode 8 of our 11-part series.
11 o'clock and midnight, 2 games, right? And because most cops, patrol stations usually have like Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursdays off or whatever. And most cops are evenings or nights. Something. And so it was at Memorial Park and it was close to the house and where I lived. And by this time I bought a new house. Did I have a house then? I don't know. Whatever. Well, I mean, we got divorced. We got rid of the house in Pearland. I was living with my parents. And then, probably then I had my house, and which is real close to where, our house is now in Houston. And because I just live outside of downtown pretty much. And the park is like 10 minutes down the freeway from us. And so, our station had 2 teams. The team I was on, which was, the guys I worked with and the other TAC guys that I worked with. And then there's the second team where this guy, her sergeant, played on. And at the time, I didn't know it. But then, like I said, after we kind of separate, we get divorced. And then she tells me, I just want to let you know, me and him are going out now. And I'm like, that's, and she's like, no, nothing. It just started up now. I tried to fix him up with my friend and it just developed between us. And I'm like, oh, no. And then
she still can't even be honest with you?
Yeah, no. And so then finally my buddy, who got me into skiing, got us into skiing and stuff and still talk to, he finally goes, no, dude, she was not acting like a wife with him. And he finally, because, everybody's like, he doesn't need to know. Don't tell him, because she would hang out with these guys at a bar, like a cop hangout bar. And, and he would sometimes, Hispanic guys and stuff. And he told me, he's like, yeah, she's not acting like a wife when she was out there, dude, And so I confront her about that. And she's like, no, he's lying. You don't know, some denying or whatever. So, and then my partner at the time, he's like, dude, you should go take that guy out and buy him dinner, dude, because he did you a favor by her, her leaving you for him.
Yeah.
That guy should be your best friend, dude.
Taking he did her off your hands.
Yeah.
Now she's no longer your problem.
Yeah. Well, like I said, so we'd play midnight softball. And like I said, he was on a different team at our station, right? And so one night, and by this time, and she would never come and watch me play. But now she's showing up to the park watching him play.
Yeah.
She's crap like that, right? So, of course, I'm angry. Now I'm getting in the angry phase about it, you're right? And I'm like, this turd and whatever. So they're playing on the other field, and they had the 2 fields, and our game got canceled because the other team didn't show up or didn't have enough players or whatever. It's softball, so we're drunk, right? So I'm sitting there, and they're playing, and I'm drunk off my ass, and I'm like, I'm going to go talk shit. And so I go sit in the bleachers and he's up the bat and I just start laying into him. I just, bam,
Was she there?
Yeah, she was there.
Okay.
Yeah, she was there. And she, just like, and there was a sergeant there who came up to me and goes, a good guy, man. He's like, hey, Matt, I don't want to see you do something you're going to get in trouble for. And I looked at him and I go, then you should leave. And then I went back still tearing into this guy, right? Calling him fat, making fun of how he ran and, well, he makes it. And then they try and send my classmate up to me. He's like, man, get him out of here, And so he comes up to me and I'm like, nah, dude, I'm not. Right. Well, he runs all the way and scores. And when he comes across the plate, he says the one thing that really sets me off. And what do you think it was?
Something about getting your wife or something like that?
Well, from what I was told, you weren't taking care of business. So I fucking lose it. Right. I really do. Well, I run to my bat bag. I whip out a bat, right? And that sergeant's like, stop him before too many hits. It might only be a misdemeanor.
Oh, shit. It might only be a misdemeanor.
Yeah. And then I run into the woods and start beating this bat against a tree, at which time I beat the bat so bad I broke the bat in half. I went and grabbed my second bat and I beat that tree until it chopped down. It wasn't a big...
Yeah, but you still...
So, I think the Sierra Club's still looking for me, plan abuse.
Was driving around with a deaf guy in his car and a baseball bat.
Yeah.
Took the street.
And I was done.
It just took that. Just
Got
to
it
get
out of you?
out.
I was done. And so I kind of go back and they're all looking at me. And then I jump in my truck and I peel out, just to emphasize how much of a douche I am. Look at how angry I am, you fuckers. And then the next day I bought a new bat and that I could only use for like 2 months, that Ultra 2.
Yeah.
Yeah. Mike and Ultra 2 that you could only use for a couple months before that. Well, back in our league, we weren't, there was no organization. We had umps and stuff, but, we weren't, softball stuff. But of course it gets around, right? And then we're playing them the next week.
Of course.
Right? So needless to say, my lieutenant calls me in.
Okay.
And he's like, hey, of course, I heard what happened. I'm like, while I have my new bat. And I'm like, yes. I don't think it'd be wise for you to play that game. Because I knew we were playing the next week. And I'm like, well, Lieutenant, I said, you really can't tell me what I do off duty. Even though it's a bunch of cops and stuff. I mean, I'm off duty, and if I want to play, I can play.
Yeah, you're an adult.
Yeah, and which, of course, is not a good thing to tell your lieutenant, but he's just looking out for me.
Yeah,
I understand it, but I was done, though. I got it out of me, finally. I was like, yeah, she's been cheating on you with him, right? And then, of course, as soon as, I don't know if we're divorced just yet, but, of course, he buys her boobs. I'm like, man, I didn't even get to play with them damn things.
Oh my God.
He buys her boobs.
Yeah. So I was done. And so, yeah, we played the game the next week, and I had like he played outfield. I burnt him, and then crushed it. I passed him. And then he hit a shot. I shagged it, everybody thought, they were like, yeah, everybody screaming because his team thought he burnt me. I shagged it. I had the game of my life that time.
You were there to prove a point.
Yeah, midnight drunk softball. The best I ever played, dude. I should have been an all-star on the MLB after that game. But but like I said, I deal with depression, but I was still angry for years, and that I treated a lot of women bad since then. Because there was no trust anymore. And then again, the thing he says, well, when I hear you ain't taking care of business, so now my self-confidence issue comes in.
It really fucked with you that hard?
I already had self-confidence issue when it came to women. Because like I said, she was my first one. I was 20 when I married her. My first girlfriend was when I was 27.
Yeah.
And then
it goes up in flames.
Yeah, exactly. That's
in
really
2.5 years, and so, but it was a trial, and so, of course I would meet girls, but I wouldn't commit. I wouldn't do nothing.
Yeah.
And I treated them bad, by not, I didn't like physically or emotionally. It just, I didn't,
you weren't there for them.
Yeah. I would just use them for sex and then move on, and then, and I had girls that were good girls, man, and should have, but at the time, and everything in my life has led me to hear me sitting in front of you two. So I don't regret anything that I did. I wouldn't change anything because it's led me to where I am today. And I'm happy. I have a great family now. I have a great wife who deals with my quirks.
Yeah.
Like your sense of humor.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, she goes, you're just stupid, and then moves on.
I hear the same shit.
We laugh and smile.
Sometimes Lizzie just puts her hands on her forehead and shakes her head sideways.
Yeah, I mean, when I make that joke is, like she grew up in Louisiana and her dad thought I was a catch because I had a dental plan, and she's just like, my dental plan's better than yours. And I'm like, I know, but it's a funny joke. And she's like, yeah, okay, whatever. As long as you crack yourself up.
So it's hard to balance the two sometimes.
And because of just the depression and then the rage that was in me, I might have got a little too heavy-handed with some people at work. And this guy ran from us, and I pulled him out from under the house, and he came out with like the side of the house, and so I started beating him with the board.
Oh shit!
Like I said, and that I'm not. No, it was wrong.
Yeah.
But just because of where I was emotionally at that time, because of the divorce I went through, and I was going to psych services. But I don't know how, I don't know how receptive I was to trying to better myself. I think I was just still more angry and dealing with that.
And that, obviously, that whole, going through a divorce and that relationship, that takes time to process that. I mean, so it's not something, even though you're going to psych and talking and getting help, that still takes time to get over anything like that. And some people don't. And so, you might, and reflecting it into your job it happens to a lot of people.
And I mean, that's the thing also you have to worry about is if you keep it bottled up, it's going to come out.
Yeah. And come out in the worst way too, sometimes if you bottle it up.
I don't think people realize exactly what that means when someone says that, if you keep it bottled up. The reality is if you don't face that demon head on, that demon's going to come back and bite you when you don't realize it's there.
Yeah, and I honestly believe that.
Or it subconsciously creates problems in your life that you knee-jerk reaction to without realizing that that's the underlying cause.
Yeah, and so, of course, the guys I work with got tired of me whining and complaining about her. So they said, dude, next time you mention her, we're going to shave your head bald. So needless to say, I was bald.
Oh, no.
And I was like, don't shave it all off. I'm afraid it won't grow back.
Has it ever grown back?
No, it hasn't.
If I'd have known.
I blame it on them.
And so, and so I started getting better. And then, like I said, I was working a club job and working that side job, and a girl comes up there that she knows, like, the people working there. And I meet her, good looking girl too. And then one of the officers I work with that worked there that I worked with at the station too, we're on the same squad. He's like, hey dude, she's always coming up there to see you. I'm like, what? Why? Do you know who? Why? Look at this nose. Nobody likes this, And, and he's like, nah, dude. And, we're going to this place afterwards. I wasn't working that club that night. It was a Friday or Saturday night. And so I'm like, all right, man. So I went to where they were, got her number, and so we started dating.
Yeah.
And everything was good, man. Beautiful woman, good job, came from good family, had his own oil company.
No shit?
Oh, yeah. I mean, jackpot.
Oh, the oil money.
Yeah.
Well, that's, yeah.
But I guess I wasn't ready yet, but I'm serious with her. I brought her around my parents and everything like that. And so we start dating, and then a female officer comes to the station, and she just went through a bad breakup. And then we'd hang out at a bar in Midtown a lot on Fridays. We'd leave work early and, start boozing it up. And she would hang out with us because she worked in the office. She was over in the crime analysis part, and she was a good looking woman. And I found her attractive and stuff. And then one of the guys, hey man, she says, if you didn't have a girlfriend, you guys would be hooked up. Well, you get that liquid courage in you. So I go over there and I kiss her. And so, me and the other girl have already been dating for a good year or so. Right. And so then me and her start hooking up, and they both had the same first name.
My God.
So I couldn't mess that up in the throes of passion, right? So, well,
the odds of that, I'm sorry, but the odds of that itself.
Spelt the same way too. So if I wrote a note, it could have went to either, and as long as I didn't put the last name, right? And so so she becomes my chip, which is the side girl.
I've never heard that term
before.
Well,
that's our term.
Okay.
Back, Houston PD.
Yeah.
And, the jokes always, or not jokes, but a lot of times officers hurt, the wife is there with the family. Well, you got to make sure you keep the chip over here, not the wives together, so they don't find out. Right. Well, I mean, she knew I had a girlfriend.
Yeah, she did. Yeah.
Yeah. So, well, the guys were like, dude, who are you talking about? So they became known as number one and number two.
Oh, God.
Because they had the same first name. They're like, which one are you talking about? I'm like, okay, this one's number one. This one's number two. All right. And then, of course, number two knew she was number two because we all worked together. Right. And my thing with that is, I mean, I treated them bad in the sense that I strung them along, especially number one, who didn't know, of course. I should have been a man and not cheated on number one with number two, because like I said, number one was great. She was a party kid growing up. Like I said, affluent. So she partied and was just so I look back at it now in that she met me to get straight.
Yeah, maybe.
And that's not why she hooked up with a cop.
Yeah.
No, but
it was at that time where she was quitting.
Yeah, she was starting to slow life down and take things a little bit more serious.
Yeah, and not do the stuff that she used to do.
But your attraction was a little more to the party side, I think, or no?
Well, when I'm saying party girl, she was doing like powder.
Oh,
Yeah, well, and I think she was finally to the point of getting clean.
Yeah.
And like I got to grow up. And who better than somebody who's straight and narrow, right? And who just drinks sometimes. And so, that's how I look back at it now, is maybe we met, if there is a cause, that maybe we met to get her clean in a sense,
yeah.
Yeah.
and because she stopped smoking with me, until I got caught finally, then she started smoking again because of the stress. But,
Yeah.
And we went on trips, good girl, man. And eventually marry and have a kid and stuff like that.
Did number 2 want to become number 1?
Oh, by far.
Did she?
Oh, yeah. And she told me eventually when we did finally, it was just me and her before I torpedoed that one. She told me, she goes, my friends would tell me just to leave my underwear at your house,
Just to get it.
Yeah, like leave it kind of hidden, but out enough where, number 1 could find it.
Oh boy.
And stuff. So
that's a dangerous.
But then it's like
there's a lot of things in that.
Yeah. Then it's like, well, but she never did.
Yeah.
And then of course she would try and stop it, but then we would keep it going, and so that she was my side girl for about 2 years.
Jesus.
I mean, I don't want to say I had a good run, but I had a good run. And so, in number 1, she worked at she was a buyer for Macy's. Foley's, Macy's, and so she would either go to St. Louis, where the main headquarters was, or of course New York City for her to meet and buy whatever for the clothes that they sell. And so go back to my work wise. So we had that crazy captain, and he finally messed up and the department fired him. And then so we get a new captain. And so they want to get the stank of our old captain out, because he rubbed so many people wrong, and, people like whatever he touched, we need to get rid of. Well, our squad was created by him to do what we were doing. So the new captain comes in, he's like, okay, we're going to change what you guys do. You guys are now going to be called a WET team, warrant execution team. You're going to get all the warrants in our area and you're going to run them. So instead of working your banker hours from 10 in the morning till 6, you're going to be 5 in the morning till 1. Because we run our warrants in the morning when everybody's sleeping. We're like, all right, man. Yeah, this is going to be good. Okay. So, we have a new sergeant and stuff. So we, first warrant we run, first day we do it, 5 in the morning. Well, run this warrant, make entry, all of us, and kick the door, go in there. That guy's running around upstairs, jumps out the second story window. Takes off running. We had the house around. We chase him down, get him with a pistol and dope on top of his warrant. We're like, yeah, we're high-fiving and, yeah, this is how it is. Yeah, this is going to be great. Adrenaline, the rush. And then they just kind of get used to it of us. They're not there, or they're hiding under the bed, or they're hiding in the closet, or they just open the door and give up, right? So we start getting complacent with it. And so we...
when you say complacent...
We got used to it. We weren't
describe how you got complacent. Yeah.
6 of us and our sergeant. Well, then we started running with just 4 of us can do it, and a sergeant. Because we had to have a sergeant on the scene to kick a door to make forced entry.
Why is that? What is
policy?
It
was just our policy.
Just a rule.
Yeah, you want a supervisor there.
It's like the competent rule. You have to have a competent person in charge. It's like a SOP type thing.
Gotcha.
Yeah, SOP, exactly. Standard operating procedure.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so, and then got to where maybe 3 of us and our sergeant, 2 of us would make entry and the other 2 would keep the house, right? Keep the perimeter on the house. And then, so because it just got, like I said, they either weren't there or they'd give up, or we'd fight them under the bed or in the closet.
It was easy.
Yeah. And it's going to be like it was yesterday, Well, so we start looking for Derek Forney. He was wanted for felon in possession of a firearm. He didn't go back to court, so he skipped court for being a felon in possession of a firearm. He was a robber, hijacker, and then he got popped with a pistol, and then he bonded out. So he went to TDC for robbery. And then, of course, he's not allowed to own a firearm after that, Texas law. And then, of course, he got popped with the pistol, so he's found in possession of a firearm, which they charge him with. Well, he doesn't go to court, so we're looking for him, and he ain't where the address is that we have. So it's cold. So there was a part of the ward that we called the Lost Ward. Okay. So you had the third ward. The main part was on the other side of 45, where there was this 3x3 block neighborhood that we called the Lost Ward, because if you took that and moved it into the ward, it would fit. It was black and it was all the shotgun shacks, but it was a 3x3 block radius.
Yeah.
And people from Pasadena would always come down there to buy dope. They'd come off the freeway, pull in the neighborhood, pull out, be back up on the freeway and out. Well, so we'd sit there and we chased them, that was a neighborhood that where I knew them, they knew me. I don't know, because they didn't go to school, and Officer Richie, and also one of the guys that I used to ride with used to call me Richie Rich.
Yeah.
Just because I'm like, I don't even know where that's from, but
Yeah,
I mean, I know the
like,
cartoon from
yeah.
the 80s,
Yeah.
but I'm like, yeah, okay, whatever, dude. I don't know where you get my last name and Richie Rich, but okay, whatever. And a couple of other guys stopped one of the main dope dealers in that area, and he's got a passenger in his car. And so they're dealing with him. And so this is 2004 now. And I'm juggling the two numbers, I almost said their names. I'm juggling number 1 and number 2, but and number 2 was like the week girlfriend, and the number 1 was the weekend girlfriend, because she had her job, and me going in at 5 a.m. and that and stuff. So, they're talking with this guy, and then they go to ID the passenger, and he gives them whatever name he gives them, and then they don't find nothing on him, of course, because he's lying. Well, he takes off running. Well, they don't chase him because they're dealing that they know who they have first, and they're like, and then of course, so they don't really chase him down, and so they come back and it's like, hey, we stopped, this guy, and he had this guy, and he gave his name, and I'm like, what name? And they're like, yeah, Derek Chapman. And I said, well, did he have an alias? And the guy called him Freak. Pull out the wanted poster. Is this him?
Yeah.
And they're like, yeah, that was him. I'm like, motherfuckers,
You're like, we've been looking for that guy.
Yeah, I said, we've been looking for him. And they're like, oh, well, the guy said he's been staying with him. So I'm like, all right, we'll hit it tomorrow morning. Right. So tomorrow morning comes June 9th, 2004. You want to take a break or you want to keep going? This is when it happens.
Let's keep going.
Do you want to pee?
Yeah, I got to pee.
Okay.
All right. That was the world's longest bathroom break.
Yep.
Just kidding. As we're getting into it.
So, yep. So we've been looking for him for a few weeks, a month or something. And of course, we've heard and we always heard is like, he's not going down without a fight, stuff like that. And we just kicked it to the curb. They all say that. They don't mean it. How many times, I'm not going back to jail. And they're the first one crying as you're cuffing them and putting them in the car. Guess where you're going? I'm going to jail. Yeah. I guess, you ain't as big as you thought, huh? And so, the next night we'll go run the warrant and, or the next morning we'll go hit the door. And then, so that night, number 2 was trying to pull away again and stuff, but we still went and saw and she's the one that reminded me about it, but we went and saw Spider-Man,
Which one?
I think the original one.
With Tobey Maguire?
Yeah, this is 04.
Yeah.
And so I got 10 years on the department too, because I got on in 1994 and this is June of 2004. So I got 10 years on.
Yeah.
And so we spend the night. I stay at her place. I get up at like 4 a.m. or 3 a.m. to go to my house, and get my stuff, feed my dogs, let them out, and then go into work. Well, it's just me, my partner, and my sergeant. A couple people are off. One guy's late coming into work because, he had to take his kids to school. And so he's on his way. And I'm like, so it's around 7:30, and we're like, hey, man, let's go do it, and then we'll go grab breakfast, and there's always been that when, we'll do it and go grab breakfast, you
You're
jinx,
just nonchalant.
yeah, jinx yourself. Yeah.
Obviously, me and Lindsay are on the same wavelength.
Yeah. And so it'd be like the thing when you were on patrol, it's like, man, it's a quiet night. And it's like, why do you say that? And then it goes nuts.
Yeah, we have that in the medical field.
Yeah.
You see schedules and the schedule's light. You don't say a word.
Yeah.
And you have that newbie that comes in and says something. The whole department goes, no!
Yeah. And
Don't
then it's
say
crazy.
And they're like, what are you talking about? That's not a thing. I'm like, watch 10 minutes.
Yep.
And then guess what you're going to be doing for the next rest of the day because you just jinxed us all.
Suddenly there's a full moon.
Yeah.
Yeah, you got the triple nut cutter,
Yeah.
homicide accident, UFO,
UFO landing.
yeah, so that you got to deal with.
I saw some videos about that.
Yeah,
We'll have to go. I have a question about that.
what UFO landings?
Well,
I don't
did you
know.
get calls like from people seeing crazy things or ghosts or anything? Like,
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, the mental people, and then
That's a quick fucking label. None of it's real. They're all crazy.
Well, no, like, and I don't know, like, we know they'd be kind of crazy because when you pull up to their house, they would have aluminum foil on their windows.
Hey, man.
To keep the rays out.
It's take our aluminum foil down, Lindsay. I don't want Matt to judge me.
We had a chief and his, grew up in Third Ward or whatever, and he was an assistant chief, and his sister still lived there. She had dementia and issues like that, and she had the aluminum foil on the windows. So periodically, when I was on nights, we'd run her calls, and it's like, man, it's chief's sister again,
Yeah.
and yeah, just, they're beaming rays into me,
Yeah.
and,
Just ridiculousness.
Yeah, I mean, but it's something you have to deal with, So, and then of course you have to deal with it right because her brother's one of the chiefs,
Yeah.
the assistant chief. So
Mhm.
you got to make sure you do it right to the, to the T's and stuff. So we go in and it's just me and my partner and my sergeant. And I'm like, hey, let's go. We can do it. And small house.
So instead of a 7-man team, now you're down to just 3 guys.
Yeah, me and my partner and my sergeant. And like I said, it's in that 3x3 block neighborhood, the hostel.
Thank you for listening. Don't forget to stop by throughtherough.net to check out our latest episodes, merchandise, and hit that donation tab to keep content coming. See you again next week.